What up, everybody? Welcome back. Strong, well fed, outspoken. We're really excited for today's episode. We are going to be talking all about shift working, specifically night shift working tonight and circadian rhythm, all the things that'll basically help you navigate if you do work night shifts and what you can do from a sleep, nutrition standpoint to keep yourself on track. So, welcome to today's episode. If you guys are new here, my name is Rusty, aka Coach Frizzle, aka the Miss Frizzle of Fitness, and this is my girl and co-host.
What's up, guys? I'm Coach Alana Nel, but you can just call me Nell. And today, a lot of us jump into shift work without realizing the impact it has on us. And then we start to notice. We start to feel a lot of things, generally not great things. So today we're going to just talk about why and how you can actually combat it a little and continue to work night shift while taking care of yourself.
Yeah, this is a huge thing. I personally, have you ever worked night shift? I've never worked night shift.
Have
you? What job?
It was a short-lived career. So if you guys don't know, my husband is law enforcement here in Canada. And when he first started into that career, we moved and I was fun employed. So I actually started working the night shift at the detachment that he was in. And I was monitoring the drunk tanks. If you grew up here, that's probably what you call them. But we were right by the courthouse. So we had a lot of people coming in for their trials. And so I was monitoring them overnight, making sure, nobody died in their sleep. I mean, that sounds pretty morbid, but that's what I was doing.
That's the reality.
Yes. And my husband still works night shift. So this is an important topic to me because I've seen the toll it takes. A lot of my family works shift work, and it's really interesting to see those trends that we're all experiencing.
Yeah. First question is, did you ever actually have anyone die in their sleep while you were?
No, I had a lot of icky things to deal with, but no. Nobody's died on my watch.
That would be crazy. Yeah, no, I've never worked night shift. I've had jobs where there was the opportunity, and I was like, yeah, no, don't sign me up for that. I'm for sure quitting if you make me work night shift.
And as coaches, even we work shift work, right? Those early mornings, I know you've worked those, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. From that sense, there have definitely been days, right, where you're up at if I was just going to say, if I was teaching 4:30, 5 a.m. early bird class, I would still always rather take that than just stay up all night. I don't know. Wow. I know your body adjusts to everything, but if you're listening to this and you work overnights regularly, kudos to you, man. Kudos to you. Yeah. I would be way too big a bitch to do that.
Honestly, there are days where I roll over and my husband has worked a full night. Yeah. And he'll be like, good morning. And he's like all sunshine rainbows. I'm like, I had a full 8 hours and I'm dying. How is this? How are you surviving?
You've seen that picture of the fox on the chair, and it's just that's me after 8 hours, and they're good to go. Yeah, incredible. So
for real.
But yeah, we're talking specifically today, guys, about night shift because there's lots of different types of shift work, right? Yes. Even if you are working we'll say typical hours, we have worked with people who work, 12, 14, 16-hour days, 24-hour shifts, 48, 72-hour shifts, right? Especially I know a lot of firefighters, you're at the hall, so you're still sleeping what would be normal hours unless an alarm goes off. But still, that can still disrupt life and things because it is a type of shift work. So for today, we are going to talk about night shift.
We're going to focus primarily on nutrition and sleep, but we're going to dive into some other things too. So if you're hearing that and you're like, oh, I want to know more, tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. This might wind up being a two-parter, maybe even more than that. But why we're talking specifically about nutrition and sleep is because these are the things that are truly going to impact not just your overall well-being, but your progress, your journey, your mental state here. As we know, right, recovery is a huge aspect to this journey, no matter what your goals are. So we want to keep that high, especially when you are automatically going to be experiencing higher stress levels, higher internal stress levels, because you are now staying awake when your body wants to sleep. So Nell and I both have worked with lots of shift workers, again, in different categories.
And currently do still, right?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
not something we've stopped doing.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, no, absolutely. Nell has worked with actually a lot, because again, she has really direct experience with her husband and the work he does. So like what kind of shift work, like what kind of jobs? Because I think a lot of people think about shift workers in terms of like hospital.
Yes.
So
Doctors,
yeah.
nurses, for generally first responders, we think night shift, right? Firefighters, police, doctors, nurses, medics, right?
Yep.
Those are kind of like shift workers. But what we don't think about is people who work in a lot of like the industry. So where I live right now is by the oil sands, and
Mhm.
people are there 24 hours a day,
Wow.
365, right? It's crazy to me to see the shifts because they take public transit to get out there and things like that. And so they're
Mhm.
working shift
Hold
work.
on, hold on. When you say oil sands, though, for people who don't know what
Yeah.
that is that literally pulling oil from the ground?
Yes. So the gas you put in your car, the way you heat
Yep.
your house, the stuff that makes that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
has
yeah.
to be farmed.
Yeah,
I don't work in this industry,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
take this with a grain of salt. But yes, it has to be processed. It has to be harvested and then shipped out and all of these things. And so it's a 24-hour operation.
For sure.
Another shift work that a lot of people don't think of is in retail.
Mm,
Lots of major
yeah,
stores have night shifters that are stocking, that are cleaning. Janitors often work night shift.
yeah,
Um, Trying to think what else. Who else would work night
yeah.
shift?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, well, police would be first responder, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm sure there's some
And
that would.
okay, parents, if you are
Oh
up
my
with your
goodness, of
child, that's a
course.
shift work.
That is absolutely the ultimate shift working. No, you're right for sure. Oh, you know what? Bakeries. People tend to
Yes.
forget that actually, like, even when we're talking like Tim Hortons and stuff like that, you guys, like, they are up over a
Yeah,
lot
my
of them
sister
are up.
used to start her cob shift at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's crazy. I
And even like
honestly,
bartenders and
yep.
servers, they're working
Friday,
till
Saturday night.
2 a.m., 3 a.m. some days when they
Yep.
finally wrap up their shift. That's shift work.
Yep. If you're in the theater industry, I actually
Oh,
just started with a new
for
girl
real.
who's, yeah, she lives in England right now and she works in the theater industry. And that's massive, right? By the time your show wraps up, you pack up, you get home. You know, a lot of people as well, they're not necessarily crashing as soon as they get home. They want a
No, you
few
got to
minutes
wind
to
down.
unwind. Yeah. So there's a lot that we don't think about, but uh, let's dive into it then. So,
Yeah, so I guess like why are we talking about this? Why does it even matter? The
mhm,
first thing to know is like the body is controlled by circadian rhythm.
yeah.
And what is that? Well, that's your body's internal clock,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Most people think about circadian rhythm, like we've heard that term before, and we think about like sleep versus wake, which
Mhm.
is true, right? It's your body's natural. We have a sleep clock and we have a wake clock, right? Your body naturally wants to be awake when it's daylight outside, and when it gets dark, it wants to gear down and go to sleep. But there's other things that are a part of your circadian rhythm that most people aren't aware of. So, you know, some of these are or let me say it like this: your circadian rhythm is impacted by more than just your sleep versus wake cycle, right? It is also impacted by movement, right? When you think about it, we're up, we're moving, so your body's going to be awake. It's also impacted by food, but not necessarily what you eat as much as when you are eating. That's going to be the really big difference in terms of how your circadian rhythm is impacted.
Right. And so when your circadian rhythm is impacted, it's going to affect your metabolism. It's going to
Yeah.
affect your hunger cues. It's going to affect a lot of things and a lot of the processes that your body go through.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well,
like
because
even the temperature of your body, right?
yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when we talk about sleep, of course, and movement impacting circadian rhythm, but when we're talking specifically about food, what most people don't realize, and this, when I first learned this was like, wow, your circadian rhythm is actually the thing that's in charge of all of your macronutrient breakdown,
Everything.
all of it, right? We tend to think like, oh yeah, like my metabolism, but like what's impacting that? You know, we think about how your metabolism is functioning around
Yeah.
four.
And what is your metabolism? It's your body's ability to utilize what you've given it, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. How efficient we are, how many calories you're taking in, all these things. But your circadian rhythm directly is in charge of all your macronutrient breakdown, which is why the couple really big things we're going to go over today in regards to nutrition. This is why your circadian rhythm, when you work with it, you can actually have, honestly, I don't like to use the word easy, but you can have an easier time working towards your goals because you are now working with your body's natural biological rhythm and systems. Mm-hmm. And that can be massively impactful. When we are talking about circadian rhythm, so let's get into a couple things, because again, we were saying before this, we could do a whole episode on circadian rhythm. So we're not going to do that today.
Truly. We kind of want you to just understand the gist, why it's important to know what it does and how it's affecting the two main things we're going to talk about, and that's your sleep and your hunger today. Exactly. But yeah, this is a heavy topic. We could go on and on and on.
Yeah. So to keep it, we're going to break it down to basically three things when we're talking about circadian rhythm influencing your hunger. Okay. So how your circadian rhythm affects the idea that it is in charge of all macronutrient breakdown. So the first thing you have to understand is if that is truly the case, then your body naturally, as it is gearing down for you to go to sleep, is not going to be expecting a lot of food, which means that the less food we can actually keep in the digestive system before we go to bed, the easier time you're going to have getting into the rhythm of going to sleep. And again, this one we can talk about fasting and things like that, another topic for another day. But there's three big things that your circadian rhythm is going to be influencing. The first of which is insulin.
Insulin. And like you've heard about insulin before, everybody has this, okay? This is not like when you know a diabetic, they're very familiar with insulin. You're like, oh, I don't know what that is. You have this, okay? It's working in your body.
Yeah.
Right? So what does it do? It's your energy transporter.
Yeah, literally. Insulin gets a really bad rap. I think especially, nowadays people have you seen those videos where they're like, let's eat a potato and take my blood sugar and then
or like the continuous glucose monitors when you don't really need it. There should be rises and falls here, people.
Yeah, naturally, like different foods, different stress levels, the way you slept that day, what movement you've done, what your body fat percentage is, and it's going to look so different for everyone. Insulin gets a really bad rap. Insulin is not a bad thing. Insulin is an energy transporter. So anytime you eat anything, it's not just carbs, it's anything. Insulin is going to take the nutrients from that food and send them where they need to go in the body. Period.
Yeah, so insulin, you eat, it tells that food where to go and what to do.
Basically, yeah. Insulin basically binds and draws the nutrients where it needs to go if everything is working properly. When you're diabetic, something's not working properly, and that's why we might need the assistance of insulin.
Right. And here's why it's important during night shift, right? Because it's highest when?
In the morning.
Exactly. And if you are sleeping then, you're not utilizing it the same way, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So you have to think insulin secretion is greatest in the morning than it is at night, even in the second half of the day. And they did this in a lot of different studies, or maybe not a lot, but they've done this in a few different studies.
This has been reviewed and studied by people in these fields.
Yes, where they have actually taken people and fed them the exact same meal, at 10 a.m. versus 10 p.m. and noticed that, insulin secretion was better in the morning. It's greater in the morning. So they were better able to utilize, digest, absorb, break down that meal than they were by eating it, at 10 p.m. at night.
Which honestly kind of leads into the second part of why this is important.
Yep. You want to go? Go ahead.
Oh, sure. Okay. Which is the thermic effect of your food.
Yeah. So, if you guys aren't familiar, every single food has a thermic effect. That basically implies how many calories does this food actually burn for your body to break it down, digest it, absorb it, utilize it, send it where it needs to go, right? This shit does not happen for free. So,
right. You may have heard, I've heard this many times. Oh, I eat, celery because it burns more calories than you're ingesting. Yeah. That's a little bit outrageous, but it concept. Takes energy to eat that food and to use that food, right?
Yep, exactly. So, the calories burned while you're digesting food, absorbing food, breaking that food down is the thermic effect of your food. Protein is the highest, generally speaking, has the highest thermic effect in your body. This is also why you can do something like when you're in a fat loss phase, like raise protein a little bit, likely still see results, because protein is burning more calories while you are actually consuming it than majority of other foods. But I digress. With the thermic effect of your food, it is also greater in the morning than it is in the evening, right? Kind of tying into, again, same thing with insulin here. And
this makes sense, because if you are working regular hours, you're awake during the day, you're asleep at night, you need energy to perform throughout the day. And so the food you're feeding yourself is going to be more, I don't want to say viable, it's still important, but you're going to be able to feel that energy better throughout the day.
Yeah. And again, right? So I want you guys to think about it like this. Your circadian rhythm is your sleep versus wake, okay? While you are sleeping, as we talked about, your body is not expecting food. It's not expecting to have a huge meal even close before you get to go to sleep, because it is gearing you down for sleep. This kind of inadvertently makes you more insulin resistant while you are sleeping overnight, because your body is not expecting to be eating, digesting, absorbing food, okay? Your sleep cycle should be your natural fasting window for pretty much everyone. No matter when you sleep, that is when you are naturally fasting. We all do it. But when we are sticking to your body's true circadian rhythm, most people ideally are not eating, at least for 2 hours before you go to bed. And then if you're, again, hopefully getting at least 6 hours, and then most people aren't like waking up in the morning and having a bite of food right away. So let's say you're not eating for at least an hour or two after you wake up, you're probably going anywhere from 8 to 12 hours naturally without having food. So as Nell said, when you are officially awake, your circadian rhythm realizes, I'm awake now, it's sunshine, I know I've got the whole day ahead of me. It absolutely wants more food in that first half of the day to be able to supply itself with energy for all the things it knows it's going to be doing. And yeah, sure. I'm not talking literally like it knows you're going to the grocery store. It just knows that you're going to be awake and functioning, right? Breathing, moving, eating, hunting based off of, years and years ago.
It's how we've evolved as humans, right? You've got to go stay alive because you're awake now.
Exactly. So it wants more food in the first half of the day. It is more insulin sensitive. The thermic effect, the ability for your body to actually burn more calories digesting food. We're talking the same meals, greater in the first half of the day.
And the issue with this is when you're working night shift, especially, you're eating counterintuitive to this. And this leads into kind of the third reason that this is important. Digestion. Your digestion is impacted hugely. And I don't work shift work anymore, but if I don't get as much sleep as I anticipated, and I'm talking like less than 6, I immediately feel
in your digestion
ill. Like I don't feel good. I gassy, bloaty, pukey. So digestion is huge. And why is this important? Because the stomach is emptying faster, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. I would actually agree with you there. Like when I'm really lacking on sleep, everything feels slower in my body. Like even, from a mental perspective, right? If you didn't sleep good, think about how many times you're like, oh man, I just did not sleep enough. Like my thoughts I'm not focused, I'm forgetful, everything feels fuzzy. It's the same thing internally. Mm-hmm. If you're underslept and you're cognitively feeling it, imagine what subconsciously, right? The things that you're unaware of are going on in your body. Right. And digestion is a massive one. So yes, as you said, the stomach emptying. So basically stomach emptying is just literally, as the name implies, how quickly not that we want this to be uber fast, because if you're eating and just like going to the bathroom right away, that's not good either.
No, and if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm going to die, look at all these things they're saying. Rest assured, it's okay. We got you covered. But it's important to know that we're talking about these things because night shift puts you at a much higher risk of a lot of like comorbidities, right? Chronic diseases, heart diseases, diabetes, things like this. And we want to give you the tools to set yourself up to prevent that, even if you're stuck in a shift.
Yep, absolutely. So yes, with digestion really quickly, the stomach emptying is faster. You can basically say you have better motility, motility is your body's ability to push food through the intestines, through your digestion. But also a big aspect here is when you eat, I want you guys to think about digestion in terms of not just what you're able to excrete from the body, but also what you're able to absorb in the body, right? This is a big thing. When I review blood work for a lot of clients, right, they might say like, actually, I just had this conversation with a girl where she's been taking 15,000 IUs of vitamin D, and her vitamin D is still low. With women, we see this a lot with iron versus ferritin, right? Yeah, how your body's able to absorb. Okay. And there I was just talking about supplements, but it's the same idea with nutrition. If we're eating things, but our body is struggling to absorb it, it's not really going to be benefiting us in the way that we think it is. So when we're talking about your digestion, yes, stomach emptying is a thing. Movement throughout your intestines is a thing, but absorption is a thing. AKA your body is also primed to be able to handle food better earlier in the day. So exactly. Those are really three key things that you need to think about when we're talking about going into overnight shift work, because that's going to lead us into what we need to focus on. And again, we're keeping it to these two things for right now, because there's a lot we could cover here. And these are genuinely, the most impactful. So the couple things to focus on here, we're going to start off with sleep.
Exactly. Because here's a fun fact. On average, shift workers get 2 to 4 hours less sleep per day, per night, per sleep time. And that's consistent. So that compounds, right? You're never getting ahead.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Because, sorry, 2 hours or 2 to 4 hours?
2 to 4 hours less
that's
sleep
crazy,
per
actually.
sleep cycle.
Wow.
Yeah. So I should say per sleep cycle, like falling asleep to waking.
Yeah, but that's huge. Like
it's
at first
massive.
I was like 2 hours. I'm like, that's still pushing it. 4 hours. I'm like, that's literally like 50% of some people's sleep. Yeah. So think about if you were going through life 5 days a week, getting like 50% sleep than most people are getting. No wonder.
And that sleep is not quality. It's not like you hit that pillow and you have beautiful REM sleep. It's not. When you are working shift work, it's more broken. Because there are distractions. Like you don't get to like just go to a quiet night. Like traffic is outside. Construction is probably happening, right? People are banging around the house. So that's why we see that huge reduction in sleep.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Do you have okay, for your own sleep, like ideal sleep? And sometimes you can have like the perfect sleep environment and still not get like the greatest night's sleep.
That's me. I'm a sleep princess. And I'm like, ugh, it was the worst sleep of my life.
So this is what I was going to say. So what is your sleep environment? Like, are you like a warm sleeper or a cold room?
No, I've carefully curated. So
tell us.
Step 1, I have a bath so that my body temperature is warmer. So I'm ready to go to bed.
Every night.
Pretty much.
Girl, are you like 5 years old?
Okay, I told you. Okay, but here's the thing, guys. So when I worked shift work, I had really, really high blood pressure and I was at my heaviest weight ever because of a lot of the things here. Sure. So now that I'm no longer working shift work, this stemmed from like, how do I deal with this? So this is why this sleep hygiene routine is so ridiculous and outrageous. You don't have to do all these things.
Oh my God.
But I need my internal temperature to be a little bit warmer. Okay. But the house has to be cold. So my bedroom is cold. Heat goes down about 3 hours before I go to sleep. Yeah. Dim lights, no blue light, nothing. I have 0 distractions in my bedroom. I have a plug-in the wall alarm clock. I don't even have a phone. I put on my sleep mask. Actually, no, that's a lie. First I put on my bonnet. Then I put on my sleep mask.
You got the curly hair, man. You gotta
have so I will read for about 15 minutes an actual book so that I'm not looking at something that's backlit. And then I will lie. And you actually mentioned this in your notes, but I will breathe. And I will purposefully breathe. And hopefully that's enough to knock me out. So I have a silk pillowcase for cooling. I have a special pillow where my shoulder fits. Like I'm a diva.
Okay, that's the shoulder fits. I have the silk pillowcase, but more for me again
for the curls. The skin health.
Do you struggle then to fall asleep? Because you said,
God, yes. I have horrible sleep.
Wow. Okay. So here's a great example, guys, of how like sometimes, there are certain people that just struggle with this.
Yeah. So and then I married one of those people that is like, I'm tired.
And passes out. That's
out.
Yeah.
No, I have to really be like, okay, it's time to go to bed. It's time to go to bed. Brush the teeth. Could do everything in the right order. And then sometimes I still lie awake, go to bed at 9:30, and then I roll over and it's midnight, and I'm like, I have to get up in 4 hours.
Wow, that's crazy, man. Yeah, no. So for me, certain similarities there for sure. I've really, really improved my sleep habits. And actually, there's some things I still want to improve on. But for me, my sleep right now, so no bath. I'm sorry, bitch. No bath.
Fine. You don't want to sit in your own human water? Fine.
Yeah. I will take a bath usually in the
Rusty soup.
winter at home. From like more sometimes to relax, but more for like muscles and things like
I will have a bath every single day. I
you're
love
literally
baths.
5 years old.
And
That's
I'm like no, I am. You should see me in there. I'm like playing mermaids and stuff. I'm like,
cool.
does this look cool? You know,
That's hilarious. Yeah, no.
I swam for years. I love the water.
I'm a shower person all the way. But that's interesting you say that. I like being in the ocean and I like swimming with other people, but otherwise I could care less.
That's
I'm
fine.
definitely not. I won't like go to a pool and into the water just to like go.
Mm.
Even in the summer, like I'd rather sit on the edge of a pool with my legs in, unless I'm like playing games with people and just hang out, than be in the water. I don't know
No,
why.
I'm like that annoying kid that's like, do you want to see me do a backflip? That's me.
Oh, okay. That's
Anyways, we should probably get back to the
yeah. Well, so with my sleep, yeah. So I definitely like to watch TV in the evening, 100%. But for me right now, so like I take my supplements, I take everything I need to take. Actually, in the last like 3 months, I've been actually in a routine of, so I'm taking collagen every day. I get the like chocolate flavored collagen, actually pretty good. I also mix it with some bone broth, but like unflavored bone broth, and a little bit of chocolate greens that I have that are really, really nice. And I mix it with warmed up almond milk. It is so nice and relaxing and soothing. And there's like no calories to this. There's like 20 calories. So I'm not worried about it, like messing with my digestion. But I take that into my room, same like you, no cell phone, nothing. I have a plug-in alarm clock. And
Guys,
actually,
go buy a plug-in alarm clock. Honestly,
guys,
everybody should do
not
this.
with the screens and the phones. Like you are not. People are like, "Oh, I can't sleep without my phone." Yes, you can.
And you
Plug it in
should. The
somewhere
fact that
else.
you think you can't means you should.
Yeah, is a problem. In fact, to be honest, my alarm clock, even I'm like, sometimes the light is so bright, I like put something over it. I think I need to get another one.
I have one that like dims and then it wakes me up like a real sunrise.
Oh, see, that's good. I've seen those. I think I might buy one. But yeah, same like you. I'm a team actual book. So I get into bed with my actual book and my warm drink. And the warm drink helps actually keep me awake because I'm one of those people who will fall asleep within like 2 minutes.
I will say, actually, a warm drink does the same as the tub, right? It'll make you feel a bit warmer.
Yep.
And it's great because you can do like a chamomile or a peppermint, something that'll help you wind down.
Yep. Yep. But I am absolutely silk pillowcase, like you said. I am like loose clothing when I sleep.
Oh yeah, I sleep like a 1920s like man in my nightgown.
Yeah. Oh yeah, loose, just totally
Free flow.
And I like my room ice cold.
Yeah, it has to be cold. Actually, cold sleeping conditions will improve your sleep.
Yes, which is one thing we're going to talk about when we get back on track in a moment here. But I
distracted.
want to be like freezing when I sleep, to be honest. I love it. Steph actually prefers it warmer. I'm like, no, you're a freak. I think also I tend to run hot. My thyroid is a little bit higher as well, so those kind of like line up. But
this is why this is why I need the hot, because I'm gonna bundle up in my blanket and then freeze all night and not be frozen.
Yeah, I want it to be so cold that when I stick my hand out of
like,
the
nope.
heat, it's like freezing, and I'm like, whoa, yeah, bring that baby back in. So anyways, those are our sleep conditions and kind of sleep habits. But sleep, super important. So as Nell kind of said, right, with the difference, the 2 to 4 hour difference, which is huge, this actually is something that we would consider social jet lag. Okay.
Yes. So, and if you've ever experienced jet lag, this is exactly what it feels like.
Yeah. So jet lag, we're very familiar with that. You travel, you switch time zones, you're fatigued. It takes you a bit to catch up. Social jet lag is the same idea, but from a social perspective, whether it's because you were out on the weekend with friends or because of work related activities, right? It basically is anything or it's basically you going to bed or waking up more than 1 hour outside of your normal routine. So if you normally go to bed at 9:30 and you're passed out at 10 and you're normally up at 5 a.m. and then the weekend rolls around and all of a sudden you go to bed at 12:30 or 1 a.m., even if you sleep in or you don't sleep in, you will still be in a state of social jet lag because you have now gone more than an hour outside of your normal fall asleep time and wake up time.
And this is why keeping a sleep schedule, even on the weekends, for those of you that don't work shift work, this is really big. It makes a big difference.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. No, it really does. And you might not always be able to go to bed at the same time. But here's the thing. Yes, the pre-bedtime routine is more than just something we tell you guys as coaches. Okay. I need you guys to hear this. The pre-bedtime routine becomes habitual. And when something becomes habitual, not only is it comforting from, yes, sure, like an emotional perspective, you know, we're creatures of habit, we like our routine, but it also signals to your brain and your body, hey, I'm doing the things I normally do before I go to sleep, like brushing my teeth, brushing my hair. Not me, because you don't brush your hair if you have curly hair. Yeah. You know, washing your face, reading your favorite book in bed. These are all habits that now have become synonymous with going to sleep, that are subconsciously, without you telling yourself, I'm going to sleep now, brain. It tells your brain like, hey, this is what I do before I wind down and go to sleep. And so that habit is actually really, really important.
Yeah. I started sleeping with a sleep mask 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think you do that. That bothers me.
In the anticipation that like we were going to be traveling, and I don't travel well. I feel very ill very quickly, and I don't sleep.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to learn how to do this. And now when I put my sleep mask on, it really does. It's like, oh, it's time to go to bed. And my sleep quality has improved substantially since doing that. Yeah. Also, I won't tell you how much money I paid for my sleep mask, because I agree. If you have one of those cheap airplane ones, no.
So yeah, see, but I'm also somebody who gets like really overstimulated very easily. And so like things touching me, like I'm a big earrings, rings, bracelet kind of person, but things on my neck.
You and I never wear necklaces, hey?
Yeah.
Always the chunky earrings.
Yeah, always,
because it'll hit here and that's fine. But
yeah,
when it's here, no.
Lower. Yeah. Actually, this is one thing I've realized I've been having. I'm trying to teach myself, well, not myself, but I'm trying to learn how to scuba dive. But if you've ever had to wear a white suit, it is a wetsuit. What is this?
God, everybody cancels us.
Yeah. If you've ever had to wear a wetsuit, it's very restrictive around your neck. And I've been hyperventilating a lot lately with that. So anyways, yeah, sleep mask, same idea. I've always found maybe I need to just spend a little more money.
Yeah, like mine sits up off my face, so I can like my eyelashes don't hit it.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna need you to send me the link for that. Maybe we'll put it in the notes below if you guys are looking for a good one. But yeah, the sleep routine, super, super important. Now, Nell, you actually brought this up where you said no blue light, no nothing.
Yes.
A lot of people are like, oh, blue light, that's so good for me, or like so much better for me. No.
And or you don't even realize. So here's one that got me for a long time. I would read before bed. And this was when e-readers first came out, and I had my e-reader. I was like, this is so cool. I can have so many books. It was backlit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought I was doing that wind down routine that I had been doing since I was, 8 and learned how to read, but I was staring at a screen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. Here's the thing, guys, the blue light. So that blue light actually suppresses the melatonin that stops you from getting into your deep sleep. Okay. So what that means is it's basically keeping you in your wake cycle, right? It's suppressing the melatonin in your brain, the natural melatonin. We're not talking about add in melatonin. The natural melatonin that your brain produces, it stops that, or it suppresses that, which
you really don't want, because when you're awake at night, you're already limiting your body's ability to produce that when it needs to.
Yep, absolutely. Another big one here is breathing, right? Yes. Like breathing is, again, I feel like this has become very popular in the last year or so. I forget what it's actually called, but like somatics and like, with the breathing, breath work, things like that. I don't actually think this is like foo-foo or chintzy or whatever. There's so much power in breathing.
And scientifically, you can see the body's central nervous system relaxing when you're monitoring someone doing breath work.
Yeah. It is crazy, actually. It really is. It's crazy. So when you're breathing as well, like, how are you breathing? In through the nose, out through the mouth. Take a few deep breaths. If you've done yoga, a lot of the time they get you to do this, right? Take a deep breath in, but when you breathe out, breathe as if you're trying to like fog up glass, like actually like let it out, make a noise almost when you are breathing out, right? I don't know if I should do it right now, scare everyone, but yeah. And control it as well. Nice deep breaths in. I always aim for like 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Deep
Yeah,
breaths are
because you
more
can breathe a
popular.
lot longer than you let yourself.
Yeah,
Most
yeah,
people
oh
are
yeah,
scared to breathe out, like to exhale in a controlled way because they're not used to doing it.
yep,
And it can feel a little intimidating, but it is so great for putting you to sleep.
yeah.
Um, and really breathing through your nose in general. If you're a mouth breather, try breathing through your nose when you're
Mhm.
going to sleep.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few studies coming out now that show that mouth breathing can have some detrimental effects. So something to be aware of there. Won't get into that today, but definitely something to be aware of there. Um, but honestly, the last thing I would really say is like we just talked about our bedtime routines and things like that, but also like, is your bedroom actually somewhere you want to sleep?
True.
Have you
Yeah.
created an environment that, like, when I see my bed, I'm like, oh, bed, I
I
love
love my bed.
you.
Me too.
Yeah. If you don't like your bed, if you don't like your bedroom, you're going to have a way harder time feeling relaxed, feeling like you're in a safe space, and unwinding. So, is your bedroom somewhere that you actually want to sleep? Is it dark? Is it comfortable? Is it peaceful? Is it cold?
Right.
Like,
And as shift workers, can you make it more of that?
yeah,
I, most houses have bedrooms on the top floor.
yeah,
If you have a bedroom in the basement as a night shifter,
mm,
use it. It's
yeah,
cooler, it's darker, it's quieter a lot of the time, unless you have kids and they're running over top. But like, it
yeah.
doesn't have to make sense the way the house is set up. It has to make sense for you.
Absolutely. That is such a good point. You're not trying to impress anybody. This is not an Instagram highlight reel. Okay? Like have a place that actually, I love that. That's a great point. That makes sense for you. That's
Right? And we talk about like the colors of bedrooms and stuff, like
yeah.
blues being soothing and stuff, but it's
Yep.
true. I
It
moved into
is.
a house and it had a very red bedroom.
I
And
was
don't get
just
me wrong,
thinking
I
red.
love red,
Yeah,
but
me too,
it
but
didn't
not
make me chill out when I went to sleep.
no, especially not like a bright red. I've seen some really nice bedrooms that have like a kind of deeper like maroon, like
Maroon, yes.
soft. I'm like, oh, that looks nice actually. But yeah, no. The color will make a difference.
And like,
Absolutely.
y- don't face your bed towards the window.
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
like that can help.
Yeah. Make sure you have as well. Like if you have really, I do love natural light, but I also make sure that our blinds and curtains are like the blackout
Yeah,
ones.
we
So
have the
if they
blackout
are
ones too.
closed, they're closed. Yeah.
Right? Because
Um,
you're trying to limit daytime distractions as a
yeah.
shift worker. So, yes, your bedroom, everybody have a bedroom you love,
Yeah.
improve your sleep routine. But if you are a night shifter, try and reduce daytime distractions and do that through your bedroom setup.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point.
Like,
Uh,
I'll tell you right now, my office backs onto the bathroom and the kitchen. It
yeah.
is very, very loud. Anytime someone does something, flushes the toilet, things like that,
Here.
is your bedroom touching one of those areas of the house? It's going to be louder during the day.
Yeah, true. Very good point. Very, very good point. Especially like if by the time you come home from your night shift, like the house isn't empty and it isn't totally quiet. That's one thing actually I forgot to say about my pre-bedtime routine. I'm an earplugs girl. I
Oh,
put
are you?
earplugs
I could never do earplugs.
No?
That's where my sensory issue is like, nope,
Oh, okay. Yeah, no,
I
I
need to
really
hear
like them.
danger coming for me.
Okay. See, they don't block out. They're not like noise canceling. I know some people sleep with like their actual headphones. That's painful in my
Ooh,
opinion. But as soon as I put them in, it just kind of like muffles things and I
that's
like it.
fair.
It makes
That's
it
fair.
feel nice.
My husband's sleep mask actually plays white noise. Like
Wow.
he has the full setup.
Interesting. That's
And that
cool.
works great for him. His sleep has improved substantially, but I'm over here like, absolutely not. That
Yeah,
terrifies me.
we'll have to get the links for both for yours and his from you, and
Yeah, they're the same brand. I'll definitely pop it up
the,
there.
we'll put it in the show notes below. So if you guys are on the
Yeah,
lookout,
and Manta sponsor us.
yeah, is that what they're called? That's
Yeah.
hilarious. That's awesome. So sleep 101. Those are things that we would absolutely recommend that you do an overhaul on, an assessment on. Is your sleep lined up with putting you in the best position possible?
Yeah.
Never.
And before we move on to nutrition, a couple of other things I do want to mention
Sure. Yeah.
is try to limit your naps.
Mm,
I know you're
yes,
working
that's a
with
great
less
one.
sleep, but try to limit your naps.
Yep.
And honestly, if you can, don't take them because when you do
Yes.
fall asleep, it'll be better quality. And then when you wake up, if you can, blast yourself with some sunlight.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's a really good point. We'll kind of go into that, I think, at the end when we kind of lay out like an ideal of how we
Like
would do
keep doing these
nutrition.
things.
Yeah, but the naps is a really big one and can actually make your sleeping worse as a whole. So we'll get into that a little bit. But nutritionally here, as we flip gears, this is, takes the cake, what we need to be focusing on. So right off the hop,
And if you guys are hearing that sound, it's
sorry.
peacocks.
Yeah.
Rusty has birds now.
Yeah. I apologize, guys. They're so
That's
loud.
Island Rusty.
Yeah, Hawaiian life, man. Peacocks are everywhere. Like sounds like the loudest cat in the world. But most people don't realize that women will actually suffer more from shift work than men because of how our bodies are so different, right? Specifically, how our digestion is so different. So right off the hop, if you guys did not know, for female anatomy, right? So for all my females out there, our stomach has less acid in it, and it will also empty slower than a male's. Not to mention our digestive tract is, and our colon is actually longer, which means that
I actually don't think I knew this. When I was reading through your notes, I was like, oh, that does make sense. I knew that like digestion was different, but I didn't know like that there was actual length differences.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. So our digestive tract and our colon is longer, which means that even just because it's longer, it's automatically going to empty slower because it's got a longer distance to work through. But yes, our stomach tends to have less acid in it, and stomach acidity is huge from a digestion perspective as a whole. But our stomach itself will also empty slower than a male's. And then think about it. Here's like a side note for my ladies out there. Our reproductive systems, right? We know are different, but I also want you to think about them in terms of where they sit in our body, right? So your reproductive system, ladies, is internal. A man's is external, right? So it's on the outside of his body. This is huge because our uterus, our ovaries sit lower in our abdomen. So now what we've got is we've got a colon that's longer and empty slower in the same area as our uterus and ovaries, which is also why when it's, our time of the month, when you're on your period, when you're menstruating, even during the luteal phase, right? When we're gearing up to menstruate, if the ovaries, if your ovaries or your uterus are agitated or upset for whatever reason, that can also cause more stomach upset, or you're feeling it in your colon because, again, they all sit in the same area.
Yeah, like think about period poops.
Yeah.
The reason that happens is those muscles contract to remove. And what do we call it? De-sheddies. But that's why, right? That's why you experience it in digestive terms.
Yes. No, it's so very, very real thing. Now with nutrition, okay. So what are the most common hours you tend to see with your night shift working clients, Mel?
Good question. A lot of them do like a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. or like they start mid-afternoon, like 2 or 4 p.m. and then they're working till like 3 or 4 a.m.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I find majority of them are like a 6 or 8 to like a 6 or 8, like you said.
Yeah, most of mine would be like a 12-hour shift if they're doing like a 6 to 6 or something like that.
Yep. Agreed. Same. So when we're talking about nutrition here, we're just going to literally lay out to you guys exactly what we would recommend. Do you want to start it off, girl?
Yeah, sure. And I need to preface this by saying I got this wrong. I used to tell people, I used to coach people. I'm like, just flip your meals.
Yeah.
Pretend like that's your wake time.
Yeah.
So like you can learn, you can change. But this is important because when you are sleep deprived, you make poor food choices. Your hunger cues don't feel the same. And like we talked about, all of the digestion pieces. So when should you eat? You already mentioned this early on. I don't know if anyone caught it, but you should focus on not eating between like midnight and 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Even if you're awake.
Yeah. And let's pause there for the moment of silence that some of you are listening being like, what? Yeah. Because I know that sounds like, bitch, please. Like you expect me to be awake that long and not eat, but hear us out here. Okay.
Yeah. So you want to eat your main meal prior to that.
Yeah.
Right. So if you are awake at night, we're talking like 10:30, 11-ish would probably be appropriate. And what did you write here? Protein, carbs, fat, and then fasting 12 a.m. to 6. No caffeine after 1 a.m. This was more generous than I would have given. I would actually say avoid caffeine as much as humanly possible working night shift. And that hurts me as a human to say.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I just think because you mean you would have cut caffeine off even earlier.
Yeah. Like I would allow a coffee or something when you wake up,
Yeah.
before you get ready to go to work, but that would be it.
Interesting. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, you do cut it off earlier than I do.
Yeah, and I
Interesting.
mean, it's hard to find me without a coffee mug in my hand, but when I was working night shift, this was one I stuck hard to.
Okay, interesting. So, yeah, so here's the thing. I'm going to lay out for you guys how I would literally design your day, right? Like, let's say you just came off from your weekend and it's day one of you going back to night shift. I would say, sleep your normal time. Don't all of a sudden try and switch because you're working night shift the next night. So, let's say you're up, naturally 9, 10 a.m., 8 a.m., whatever it is. First thing I'd recommend is go out, get sunlight, face, neck, chest. Okay.
And like, take your sunglasses off if you're wearing them,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
people mix
Get it
this a
on your
lot.
eyes.
Like, don't stare directly into the sun, but
Yeah.
actually remove your glasses and let it be.
Penetrate kind of thing. Yeah. So early morning sun exposure is huge actually for helping with your circadian rhythm and regulating your body to, even though you're in the morning, understand that it is like daylight and improve actually your sleep quality at night. Even if you're not night shift listening to this, I recommend you do that as much as possible. Go out in the morning, get some sunlight in. I would go for a walk, allow your body to wake up, start literally having some water. Then I would come home from my walk and I would have my first meal of the day.
And like, this is basically what you and I do, being awake during the day, right? This part doesn't change.
Yep, literally. So I would follow like a normal day's course of action. So I would eat, I would work out that day before you're about to start your night shift days or night shift nights.
It's hard, right? Like, what do you say?
Yeah, night shifts. And what we'll probably do is another episode on this and also talk about how to plan your workouts out around night shifts, because that's the thing we're not talking about today. And that's also huge. So we'll make that for our next episode. But I would wake up, go outside, get some sunlight, go for a walk, have some water, come back, have your breakfast, nice breakfast, what you normally have, then maybe go for a workout, come back, do whatever you need to do to gear up for your day, run your errands, whatever it might be. When you are gearing up to go, knowing that you are working that night, okay, I would eat, let's say your family comes home and you have the ability, let's say you don't work till 8 p.m., you have the ability to have dinner with them, cool, great, have dinner with them. But I would still pack a meal with you to have while you are starting your shift, okay? So if you are doing a 6 to 6 or an 8 to 8, what I would recommend is have your last meal around the 10:30 or 11 p.m. mark, okay?
Yeah, because calorically, your needs don't change drastically. But you have you have a smaller eating window because we're limiting that 12 to 6, right?
Exactly. So last meal at the latest, like 11 p.m. And we want this to be a very balanced meal. We want to have a good protein source. We want to have carbs that digest well, that aren't just going to like spike you, right? So sweet potatoes here, purple sweet potatoes, like yams, rice maybe mixed in with some legumes, things like that, things that will digest easily and slow.
And this is across the board as a general. Just because here's the thing, a lot of shift workers, when they're not prepared, don't have access. What's not open at night? Grocery stores. So you default to a gas station or a vending machine. So this is why preparation is important, so that you can have well-balanced meals.
Exactly. Yes. You need to prepare something good. Protein, carb, and a fat. Okay. Even if you're having like a protein source, let's say like a salmon, I'd still like to see some additional fats in that meal, some avocado, some coconut oil,
even some fats from like some of your dairy. There's nothing wrong with that because it's a whole protein source, right?
Yeah, actually, one thing a meal that I've been actually meaning to make lately is literally a bowl of like diced sweet potatoes. We'll switch up the veggies based off the day, but like you could do make it like Greek style, right? So I'll do like sweet potatoes with some rice. I might even throw a little bit of beans in there and skip the rice. And then I'll do like tomatoes, zucchinis, onions, mushrooms. I'll throw feta cheese in there and then usually some salmon cut up or whatever it is. But again, protein, carbs, fats. 11 p.m., you're finishing it at the latest. From midnight to 6 a.m., we are fasting. Okay. For me, yes, because I'm the nice one here, I would say you can have your last coffee up until 1 a.m. But I absolutely agree with Nell that the earlier you can cut it off, the better.
Yeah, because caffeine has a really long half-life. It lives in your body for a long time and impacts you far longer than you realize.
Yeah, for some people, if you didn't know, it can actually live in be impacting you for up to 9 hours.
Yeah.
It's a long ass time.
Right. Because
Now,
if you think about it, you drink a coffee at 1 a.m., you're coming home at 8 a.m., you're trying to go to sleep.
yep, if you're very sensitive, you could be struggling there just from that. That's true. Um, Now, if you are really, at the beginning, let's say like you're really struggling with this and you're just really, really hungry, then I would say around 3, 4 a.m., have something that's a little bit of protein, something light in the stomach. Ideally, my go-to with my clients are some Greek yogurt with, let's say, Greek yogurt will already have the protein in there, so we're perfect. But Greek yogurt with maybe a little bit of chia seeds or flax seeds and some berries, or cottage cheese in this case. Again, going to be very light on the stomach, protein dense, just something to help you out a little bit here.
Right. Yeah. Like think things that are easy to grab and go because you need energy and your body's not getting it from sleep. So something like
Yep.
a hard boiled egg is a good option too, right? Because with a cup of fruit or something, probably fruit. Fruit is very easy on your body, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. And actually, even, again, listening to this, you don't work night shift. If you are struggling in the evenings because you're really hungry, again, there's actually a lot of studies that show having fruit before bedtime can actually help increase fat burning,
Yes.
fat oxidation. Great for blood sugar control, nice and sweet. Frozen cherries, wow, they're amazing.
You can freeze grapes too, night shifters. If you're like, oh, well, I can't pack my lunch. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
First of all. But yeah, frozen grapes will keep your lunch cold and then they're fun to eat when you need a little sweet treat middle
Yeah.
of the night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's exactly how we would lay out nutrition. Then you get off shift. Okay. You're going to, some people are likely tempted to work out then. No. And again, we're going to talk about this more later, but I want you going home and I want you going to bed. So what we're going to do is we're going to come home. Now, I don't mind, depending on the client, I don't mind them now having a very light meal because, again, it is like 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. So your body's natural circadian rhythm, like we talked about, recognizes, hey, like I would normally be waking up now, which means normally I would probably be eating my first meal of the day now. So having something will align with your body's natural circadian rhythm, but we don't want to be over consuming because we also want to get you into a state of being able to sleep easily. And digestive stress can be one of those things, no matter what time of day you're trying to sleep, that can mess with your ability to fall asleep.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. You need to eat something at the end of your shift
Yeah.
because time and time and time again, I see people waking up middle of their sleep time
Yeah.
because they're hungry.
Hungry
Now,
now. Yes.
what we're saying here is you need to eat, but you're not sitting down to like bacon, eggs, and waffles,
Yes.
right?
No, no.
Again, that balanced plate. You want to have some carbs, some protein, and some fat, but we're keeping it lighter.
Yep.
Think about not super processed stuff,
No.
things that are going to feel good on your stomach, in your tummy, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's what we're aiming for here. And this is very true of any food overnight shift. I would make this even more of a priority,
Yeah.
any of your meals, but we want it to be fairly easily digestible. But it's a non-negotiable for me, honestly. When I'm coaching, you need to eat something at the end of that shift before you go to sleep.
Yes, absolutely. Nope, totally agree. And as Nell said, like, listen, we're big believers in balance. Absolutely, there's a time and place. There's nothing wrong with incorporating some processed foods, but ending your night shift before you're trying to go to sleep is not the time. So this is where I want to see as whole food as possible of a meal. We want to have some protein, but light protein. Okay. Remember, protein is going to help keep you satiated, right?
Exactly.
It helps keep us satisfied. It also is going to prevent muscle protein breakdown. And whenever we're talking about, retaining muscle or building muscle, we need muscle protein synthesis to outweigh breakdown. You've just been working, you've been fasting. We want to get some protein into the body. Carbs, in terms of carbs, we want carbs that are going to, again, help with satiation, slow blood sugar release. So this is really why we don't want processed foods right now.
Exactly.
So
We're looking for some real true complex carbohydrates, oats, potatoes, things like.
yes,
Honestly, these are more
fruits and
volume too. So if you
yep.
enjoy eating, you're going to get more.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep in mind, carbs also, and this is partly why fruit before bed can be beneficial. Not that there's a ton of carbs in fruit, depending on, what and how much you're having, but carbs will also signal something called tryptophan. So tryptophan basically is It's an essential amino acid, but it is a serotonin precursor. So serotonin, right? It's a neurotransmitter that helps, with our mood, our appetite, but also with our sleep. Same with melatonin. Tryptophan actually gets converted into melatonin. So having some carbs before bed here, going to be beneficial in that aspect for you. So if you're looking for, again, everything's based off the individual, but somewhere around 30 to 40 grams of carbs for most people, I find to be like the sweet spot before trying to sleep.
And that's a pretty realistic amount of carbs.
Yeah. And again, we're eating now because your body doesn't care that you were just up. Like your circadian rhythm does. And of course your body cares, but we are going off of what we said at the very beginning of this podcast, which is that your body wants to eat according to the biological daytime. So nutrition goes in during our biological daytime. So the earlier, the better.
Right. So if you think about it, you're still hitting that everybody's awake, eat, because we're starting the day window. And then because you're going to be limiting food between midnight and 6, you're getting that last meal slightly later than someone awake during the day, right? Think about it. Most people eat around probably 7, and you're probably having that last meal around 10.
Yep.
So you're not completely flipping it on its head. You're still reaping the benefits of what your body wants to be doing. And that's the goal here. We're trying to take your body that likes to work a certain way, that has been forced to not do that,
do what's natural,
and treat it a little bit nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you're sleeping. When you wake up after that, I would recommend kind of what I said from even day one of you going back to night shifts, right? Wake up, get sunlight, face, eyes, neck, chest. Even though you've now been sleeping and it might be later than what most people are sleeping, we want the body to understand it is daylight. I am awake now. So going outside, getting 5-10 minutes of sun exposure will be huge. Going for a walk, allowing your body to wake up now, regulate to the daytime, to the sun exposure is going to be huge. Then coming home and having another meal and carrying on from your day from there will be huge.
And this is there's a lot of other benefits outside of sleep and nutrition for doing these things, because you work night shift, you see less people. Generally, especially if you're a first responder, the people you're dealing with are not the world's best, right? Like we talked, nothing good happens after 2 a.m., right?
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah.
But you see like a less shiny side of the world, and it starts to wear you down. And if you are taking these efforts to improve areas of your life, your mood is going to be better, and you're not going to be grumpy, because night shift makes people grumpy.
Yeah, honestly, I can only imagine.
I bet Oscar the Grouch is a night shifter.
Yeah. Living in that trash can during the day, coming out at night. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Not good sleep conditions.
No sleep hygiene there whatsoever. But we're gonna wrap up there, guys, because there's a lot of information for you guys today. We are gonna do another episode about just the impacts, right? Because there are so many impacts on shift working. We're gonna talk in our next episode about some of those impacts and how those are applied to night shift, but we're also going to talk about working out around night shift. But also, if you're a shift worker who does work, 9 to 9, but you work exactly that 24-hour shifts, or you work, 3 16-hour days in a row, and then you have a 12-hour day, and then you're off for 3 days or whatever it is. Like, how do you make that work with your workouts in your life?
Yeah, or you have that like extreme switch where you work a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 2 days, and then a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. the following 2, right?
Yes.
Some of these things don't apply. So what else can you do?
Absolutely. So 2-parter. This was part 1. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. If this was useful for you in any way, and you know that there are people on your social media or in your life that are shift workers, please share it with them, help them out. Maybe this will change the way that they do things. And if you guys are looking for more assistance in this way, you're looking to work with some coaches that know how to handle shift work and can support you as you are working towards your goals, whether it's a new job or you've been working shift work for years, there is a link in our bio that you can click to fill out and work one-on-one with us, so we can get this progress happening. But otherwise,
we'll see you when you're awake.
Yeah, exactly. But otherwise, if you guys haven't yet, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It helps us out huge. And in order to connect with us on social media, you can find me on every social media platform at coach.frizzle.
And I'm all around at coach.alana.nel.
Awesome. And those will be in the show notes for you guys as well as Nell and her man's fancy eye masks.
Yeah, we gotta find those. I should have warned them.
Really should have. Next episode,
Next time.
you need to, if you're
I'll just
watching
open
this,
it with
Nell
that.
is gonna come on with that. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely, I will.
All right, you guys have a beautiful day, cousins. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.